Hello, good day. This is FixWinPC. My name is Damien, and today what we have on the agenda is dual WAN failover using Ubiquiti EdgeRouter X, and we're going to demonstrate how you can set that up. This is basically useful if you have two internet connections and you want to create a sort of high availability. Basically, you want to make sure that you always have a connection to the internet. This is pretty good for people who host services such as servers, even security camera systems, people who broadcast and the like. So yeah, we just have this setup here. What we have, as I said earlier, we're using the Ubiquiti EdgeRouter X, and we have it connected to a netgear switch. That is basically going to run into the LAN. And here we have a wireless Huawei offering from Blink, the mobile. This is the Huawei E5172. That's their pretty much standard on-the-go Wi-Fi wireless WAN offering, and connected via a very long Ethernet cable. We basically have the flow router, which is the main internet source that comes into the house. Also, another interesting thing is that I'm actually going to experiment with getting power for this, because this is powered off right now. So I'm going to run power through the Ethernet port, the power out, because this also gives power over Ethernet up to 12 volts with a 12 volt adapter, and 24 volts with a 24 volt adapter that it does not come standard with. Or if you have 24 volt PoE going into this port, you can basically pass through coming out this way. So what I have here is I'm going to enable this port as a pass through, and it's going to power this device because I have an Ethernet cable going into a special splitter here, right? And then it pretty much patches into the power and Ethernet. So it should power the device, and once it's up, it will start transmitting data back and forth. Okay, so let's begin with this experiment as we do the configurations. Okay, let's get right into it. Right, so what we plan to do here today is that we plan to show how this EdgeRouter X can be used as basically a firewall router to enable dual WAN failover or load balancing, whichever suits your needs. Yeah, so today we're going to be using Flow as the ISP and Blink as the backup ISP. What I'm going to do, I'm going to connect to each 0 the Flow router, and to E4 because I need the PoE to power on the Blink device. I'll have the Blink powered on through that, and I'll set that up to be the failover ISP connection. And then 1, 2, or 3 ports, ETH1, ETH2, or ETH3 will become the LAN ports, so you could attach your LAN devices to switches or whatever you need to, and then that will connect to your device in this case. And I'm supposed to get an IP address from the edge router, this segment here. Right, so alright, so let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, I had to change my IP address to on the computer to statically to 192.168.1.4, so I could communicate with the default gateway 1.1, which is the EdgeRouter X. Alright, so once we have that configured, you have your network up and running, so you can connect directly to it. So now we're going to open my browser, type in the IP address 192.168.1.1, press enter. Right, enter the credentials for most Ubiquiti devices. It's going to be UBNT, Right, when it loads up, you're going to get the dashboard. Dashboard has a lot of information going about, so I'll get into this on another video where I go through the configurations, well, each of these tabs, and explain what they're for and all that. But for now, I'm just going to focus on the failover. Not so much even on the load balancing, but the failover, because that's what I'm going to demonstrate today. Because load balancing is pretty straightforward. I mean, you could tweak it to maximize your network. If you have VoIP systems running, you want the VoIP systems to go out one ISP and everything else to go out the other one. Or if you have a surveillance system, you want to go out through one ISP and have a dedicated line for that, and then everything else on something else. You could all bridge that through this edge router. Now, there are different edge routers that are bigger than the one I have. The one I have is the size of my palm, pretty small, as you saw in the picture. Yeah, so what we're going to do here, you see each one is already operating as a LAN. We're going to change this and bring it down here to each one, so either 1, 2, or 3, either one, it doesn't matter to me. But these 3 will be the LAN. This will be the first ISP, 1, and this will be the second one, 1, 2. Right now the Ethernet is off, so we want to enable this Ethernet when we're ready to plug in our secondary ISP. So firstly, let's set all that up. We have to go into Wizards, load balancing, and then you see the first internet port, and we can leave it at DHCP. I'm going to leave it at DHCP because this is just for demonstration, but if you have a need to have a static IP set, this is where you can do it. You just check on this and you put in the information, you know, your address, subnet mask, the gateway, DNS server if necessary, and if you have a point-to-point over Ethernet connection, yeah, you could point-to-point protocol over Ethernet, sorry. You could put in your account name and password that your ISP provided you, but we're going to leave it at DHCP and pretty much leave the rest of those settings as is. And for the secondary, the second internet port, you get to choose either EAT1 or EAT4. Alright, so we're going to choose EAT4 because we need that PoE for the secondary ISP, and we're going to leave at DHCP, and we're going to enable failover because that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to failover to this only this interface if the other fails. So only if the flow goes down, only if this one goes down for some reason, then this one will kick in and take over. Alright, so yeah, so the LAN ports, here is where you can configure your IP addressing scheme, subnet, and all that. You can enable DHCP or not. I would just leave this as is, or if you change in your LAN configuration, because you might be, as in this diagram, under 2 different networks, and this one might be your 1.1 and this might be your 2.1. You might want to put 3.1 here, so this is where you can do it. Right here you can either make this 1, 2, 3, 35, whatever you want to do. I'm going to leave it at 1.1, and here we have the user. I'm going to leave it at UBNT. Alright, so this, I'm pretty much assuming this is for to enable VLANs, so it's LAN to LAN exclusion. Alright, so as it says, enable LAN to LAN exclusion to avoid load balance traffic that is going from LAN to LAN. Alright, so we're ready to go here, so click apply. We're going to get a warning, so it's going to reboot, and then it's give you instructions on what to do after you reboot. So you have to connect the client device, which is my laptop, to the LAN port, which is now going to be 1, 2, or 3. So I'll have to connect via the switch, because the switch is an unmanaged switch anyway, so it just kind of runs everything through. I'm just going to have to move from this port over to this port, and then I'll be able to access the edge router again. Right, so set my device to use DHCP, so I'm going to have to go change that afterwards, and then I'll have to log into the router using whatever IP address I set up in the section that I was showing you. So we're going to apply those changes and reboot. I'm going to access V1 if we're sure. Yep. So right, so while the system is in the process of rebooting, I'm going to disconnect and connect to ETH1 on the LAN ports, and I'm going to connect ETH0 to the Flow ISP. Right, so I just connected the Flow ISP to ETH0 and my LAN network or my laptop to ETH1. So while the router is rebooting and all that's happening, you're just going to have to wait it out, and when it's ready it will say the session timed out and you have to log in again. So while we wait patiently, let's go through this boot up process. Alright, oh yeah, and I also have to change this back to DHCP. Yeah. Yes, I do. Hold up, it's already here. Right, so I changed this over to DHCP just to not complicate things. Right, so it says your session has timed out, please log in again. Put in the credentials UBNT, log back in. Right, so there you see we were as we were, so we go back to the dashboard, and up here you get a good idea of the ports. So you see the PoE not supported on Ethernet 0. Right, and we have the speed, so we run at gigabit speeds right now. We're going to plug something into ETH4 in a minute, but first we have to enable PoE. So you see we have an IP address and internet 1 on ETH0, right? So it's the WAN 1 on ETH0. We have an IP address that is the same as this IP 0.x. I got 113 side of 24. Right, so we go down, we see that the LAN is connected. Local area is connected through Ethernet 1. Right, so this is connected as well. So now we have this Ethernet 2. Now this is what we're going to enable. So what we're going to do, we're going to plug it in first. So now that we have it plugged in, now we're going to enable PoE. Come here to Actions, PoE, go to the drop down menu, click Pass Through. Read this through if you want, but we have that adapter, so we're not going to destroy our device. Click Yes, and then you click Save. So now that it says pass through, in a minute it's going to say connected, and then a little while after that I'm going to get an IP address here showing my secondary Ethernet port. But as everything is right now, everything's going to be passing through Internet 1 on ETH0. This is just a backup. Alright, so we have it connected. Pretty soon we get an IP address. So now just to confirm, we're going to open command prompt and do an IP config. No, actually not an IP config. We're going to do we're going to ping 0.1. We should also be able to ping 2.1. Alright, so let's try that again. Alright, so we have 2.1 was just giving ARP some time to resolve the IP address. So there we go, we can communicate with both routers from where we are. So that means we can go either way at any given choice, but the router that's controlling the edge router will dictate as to which side or which interface the internet traffic goes out of. Alright, so let us now do a traceroute just to prove which interface we're passing through. So we see the first hop is 1.1, which is the edge router max. The second hop is 0.1, which is great. And the third hop is supposed to be the external IP. We're gonna miss that, and then it's gonna be another one. But the next IP address is supposed to be external. So let's just wait. There you go, Columbus, Trinidad, and there you have it. Alright, so Great, so we're going through that first one, and just to further confirm, let's do a speed test so you can see the difference between ISPs. That should be funny. Vast difference between Flow and Blink. Those who know just know, and we'll prove it here in a minute too. I'm not hating on Blink, it is what it is. Alright, so now we have the test. Yep, here we go again with these 10 megabytes. I'm supposed to have 30 down by 3 up, but for some reason I keep getting these lower speeds. I'll just chalk it up to time of day. Upload speeds pretty consistent between 2 and 3 megabits. The best test I ever got was like 45 and 5. Yeah, I don't know how I got that extras, but you know. Right, so this is from Columbus Communications. So we see that worked out. So alright, so now we're going to initiate that failover that we're setting up. This is the main thing why we have this router, well, why I have it anyway, to create a failover. Alright, so we're gonna disconnect this one and we'll fail over this. So before we do that, let's start a continuous ping to Google. Just to prove we got connections. So there we go, we have connection. So I'm going to remove it now. You're going to see request timeout. That means the connection will drop, and then it's going to take a while, and then it's going to pick up on the Blink side. So alright, so when I break the connection here, it's going to start routing this way to the internet instead of going this way. It's presently going this way. It's now going to route this way. So alright, let's do it. Removing plug. So now we're going to get some timeouts. Probably might get 4 or 5, maybe 6, maybe even 8. You won't get that much. So at this time, people will probably be wondering, hey, can't connect to the internet. They'll refresh a page, or they log back in, or the page might say cannot load page, no internet, no DNS, whatever it will say, and then they'll refresh, and then boom, they'll be back. So before they could even pick up the phone and make a complaint to the IT department, the internet is back up. So see, it's running again. Alright, so we got it up and running. So now we're going to prove it using traceroute once again, and we're supposed to see it's going through 2.1, 1.1 home router.cpe 2.1. come on, right, there you go. So now it's going through the second router. It's now going this way. You can see it's now going this way. Now let's do a speed test. So hope it doesn't take forever to pull up, because these Blink routers are notoriously slow. Now I have basic packages on both Blink and Flow, and the Blink basic is like 2 down 2 up, and the Flow basic is like 30 down 3 up. So well, I mean, it's a bundle I have with Flow, this new Mocha stuff they have, right? So they put that in just the other day. I was thinking to do something, a review on the Mocha, but it's working out pretty alright. So you see what's happening. It wants to kill the pages. It's taking that long. Alright, so while we wait, yeah, so while we wait on that, let's just go over what we're doing thus far. So what we have done so far is that we have broken this link. This link is now broken. Alright, so what can I use here? Forget it. Yeah, this link is now broken. So there's no Flow. There's only Blink. which is a wireless connection, a wireless wide area network connection. So yeah, see the type of problems we're having with Blink, right? Just doesn't want to load. So let's try this again. Probably just the time when I did it. Alright, so it's still taking forever to load. Alright, I'll pause the video and come back when it loads up. Alright, so we're back. Took a while, but let's do the test. Alright, so we got a download speed at 0.6 megabits per second. Yeah, 0.6. Blazing fast speed. I mean, the speeds aren't all that great, but it's the convenience. You could pay more money and probably get more speed. We tried that once. We're supposed to get an upgrade, and they just forgot to upgrade us. Like literally forgot. Because a month passed and you're like, but you still getting the same speeds. Called the help desk and they said, oh, yeah, you won't upgrade. And I'm like, but you called and asked, requested it, and so why wasn't it done? I don't know. They'll probably look into that TSTP. So this needs improving on many fronts. Flow isn't too backward either, so it's not that I have love for one or the other, but as you can see by the speeds, one works better than the other. So I'll put up with Flow's nonsense because I get good results. Alright, so here we go. Yeah, so this is what we have with Blink. Yeah, so alright, so that's a speed test. So yeah, so there we see. Oh, let me reconnect Flow. Connected, we're going to get IP address pretty shortly. Alright, so there we have it. We have dual WAN failover. Alright, so this could either be load balance or it could operate as a failover. I prefer it as a failover for my usage. You might have another use for it, but it's quite easy to configure because there are many wizards here. The load balancing, which you just use. The load balancing too, they have a little tutorial here. So you can literally use this and draw up like a point-to-point link, right? It's like, yeah, you can see here it's like a point-to-point link. So it's like you link from this point to this point. So you have two point-to-point links operating as a failover, which is pretty much what we did, but just twice. You just have to do it twice on two different routers because it's point-to-point. So it's going from first link, you're putting your IP address, you know, whichever you can afford, you're going to put it on, and the target network, this is your network, each 1, 2, or 3, or if you have it like alright. And then the second link, and then you have it, you check either failover or not. So you can have two wireless bridge links operating, so if one gets knocked off by a bird or something, who knows, it just stays over to the other side. So you can have, you know, have one building and at two different ends of the building you have two antennas pointing to another building with two different ends. You know, you could figure it out. And then you have the WAN plus 2 LAN. Oh yeah, you have to reset that so I can go into that. Yeah, so WAN plus 2 LAN 2. So this is like different different LANs. You know, they're pretty straightforward. And I like the flexibility with this router, you know. It's I would say it's user friendly. It's quite simple. Learning curve is quite slim, quite short, however you want to call it. Yeah, I've enjoyed using this router. I like Ubiquiti products. They're pretty simple and straightforward. So yeah, this has been dual WAN failover using the EdgeRouter X version 1.8.0. Alright, this is FixWinPC. I am Damien, and if this video has helped you in any way, you can click the like button or you could subscribe to see more videos. So as always, it's been a pleasure and have a nice day.